Hey, this is Eddie Fitzgerald, and I'm with John Kricfalusi of Ren and Stimpy fame. We're doing Wackiki Rabbit. This cartoon means a lot to me because when I first came in the business and I had a brand new VHS machine, there weren't many tapes you could buy, but a lot of the tapes had Wackiki Wabbit on them. So I ended up studying this in an inordinate amount to learn animation. And a lot of my ideas and theories come from this cartoon, believe it or not. So I guess what I learned is, well, first of all, it's two weird guys versus Bugs Bunny. And I thought, my God, that's a great combination for a thing. Two weird guys against each other who hate each other in a way more than they hate Bugs Bunny, if hate is the word. Aren't you glad that life is really like that bad guys tend to hate other bad guys more than they hate us? And it's just a funny relationship. I learned that humans can be funny because a lot of people avoided human animation because they didn't think it would work. And human animation works great in this. It's a whole unexplored area that animation sort of flirted with and then left. Today, I think the human animation is kind of stiff in a lot of cartoons, unless it's ultra stylized, but there's nothing in between. I like big floppy hands like these characters have, especially the big tall guy here. These are great caricatures, by the way, by Chuck.
Look at all the detail in the backgrounds.
Yeah. Well, Chuck was an experimenter, and the Flurries were working with Chuck, and they liked these kind of backgrounds. They're beautiful. Evidently, the whole cartoon is built around this Polynesian dance that Bugs does, which is odd to have the most important thing so early in the cartoon. Animation is incredible. I don't know whether this is Ken Harris or Benny Washam or Bob Cannon. Still frame these runs on these two characters. If you don't use your still frame on this cartoon, you're missing half of the enjoyment in it. Terrific pan down here. All of a sudden the angle changes. Now, I don't know this for sure, but my guess is that this dance is what originated the idea for the cartoon. Somebody had the idea that this would be funny. And I like that idea in a story where sometimes you have a really interesting sketch or bit that you do, and that's what you've decided to do. That's what makes everybody laugh when you're sitting around the table. And you just build outward from that to construct your story. So the sketch becomes the nucleus of the story sometimes, rather than something you've thought out. Gee, in a general way, that's a pretty good way to go sometimes. You end up, maybe sometimes the cartoon isn't uniformly good, but it has a great moment in it, sort of like dun 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 and Beethoven, something that people remember, even if they forget a lot of the rest. This is genius. I hate to talk over it. I'll just have to assume that you've seen it before. I talked to Milt about this, and Milt Gray, and he said that he thought it was Bob Cannon who did the animation here.
That's what I think, too.
Because at that time, he was really interested in flamboyant animation. He almost took the Clampett unit when Clampett left. And the other animators had a lot of respect for him. But McKimson ended up with the unit, which is also a good choice. It's the idea that you can build a story around one sketch. This film also made me love full animation. I think limited animation sort of serves well if you have droll characters or characters who just look with a glance and comment on what's happening. It sort of favors that type of animation because you don't expect more from a character like that, so it fits. And if the character is very graphic looking, he fits into the background really well, and a lot of animation would seem superfluous. But I tend to like heroic characters that are really flamboyant. Not necessarily manic, but just, out there in some way. And it is from this very cartoon that I got my love of full animation. Full animation and big hands.
We're gonna have roast. Ooh.
Here's the Flurries again. I think what happened is Chuck loved the Flurries, and he did a few cartoons with them. A couple of them are even more abstract than this, believe it or not.
What are the Flurries? Is that an intestinal disease?
Or Flurries, F-L-E-U-R. I don't know how to pronounce that. Everybody was trying to figure out a way to make, with Picasso and everything, to make cartoons fit with what modern painting was doing. And it took a lot of experimentation to see what would work and what wouldn't work, and Chuck was always willing to experiment. And maybe this particular experiment with this level of abstraction ended when the husband in the Flurry team was drafted. His wife stayed on for a while, but it was difficult without the team working together. So after that, maybe Pete Alvarado and Gribrock or something, and then Maurice Noble.
So the Flurries painted this?
Yeah.
Did they lay it out too?
Well, they would have laid out the background. I'm sure they didn't do the characters. Some of the artists resented it. They thought it looked like wallpaper. I think there was a feeling among some of the artists in Chuck's unit that this was a little artsy-fartsy. Personally, I'm glad there's a few cartoons like this. I like the idea of people experimenting. I mean, why not? Cartoons aren't supposed to be nailed down to one thing.
A ship! A ship! We're saved! Hooray! We're saved! We're going on a boat! We're going on a boat!
Oh my God, beautiful animation here. Get your still frame button out quick.
Fellas, farewell. Hurry board. Don't forget to write. So long. I'll see you next time. Bye. Enjoy yourself. Farewell.
I don't know if it was. That could have been Ken Harris. Could have been Bob Cannon. Bob Cannon later went to UPA. Some of the artists who didn't like this said the ship withdrew into wallpaper.
Well, actually, Chuck Jones is the guy that inspired UPA. Everybody thinks that UPA invented stylized cartoons, but the guys at UPA all credit it to Chuck Jones because he did it 10 years earlier than they did.
I believe it. Great cartoon.